Okay, well, we start the course organizational behavior. Why we are learning last time the first chapter by our face-to-face session. I proceed from the second chapter, chapter 2, which is focusing on personality and values. By this chapter, our learning objectives are defining personality and describe how it is measured and explaining factors which are determining individual's personality. Secondly, we see those personality measurements or indicators starting from Myers and Briggs personality framework. And thirdly, we identify the key traits in Big Five personality model. Fourthly, we demonstrate how the Big Five traits predict behavior at work and identify other personality traits relative to organizational behavior. Lastly, we are focusing on values. We demonstrate the importance of values in workplace and comparing general differences in values, and we identify dominant values in today's workforce. These are the learning objectives of this chapter. When we start the first topic, that is personality, when we define personality first, it is a dynamic organization within the individual of those psychosocial systems that determine his unique adjustment of environment. According to Grodin Alport, personality is the sum total of ways in which an individual reacts and interacts with the others. We measure personality by depending upon personality traits. When we mean personality, it is the sum total way in which an individual reacts and interacts with others. When we react and interact with others, that sum total of our reaction in individual behavior is called personality. And this personality measured by personal traits. Measuring personality, this is helpful in hiring decisions. In making decisions, to know personality is very essential. In the course of OB, we are focusing by this chapter on personality for the reason why, as managers, when we decide decisions, for our decision, knowing about personality and measuring personality is very essential and important. Most common methods for personality measures are prescribed or described here. Self-reporting survey is the first way to measure personality of individuals. The second way is observer rating survey. By providing these two assessments, we have to identify or measure personality of individuals. እስካሁን ዳውራውት የመጀመሪያው ሐሳብ በዚህ ኮርስ ውስጥ የምናየው ፐርሰናሊቲ ምንድነው ነው። ፐርሰናሊቲ በእኛ ሪአክሽን ውስጥ ከሌሎች ጋራ በመናደርገው ሪአክሽን እና ኢንተራክሽን ያ ኢንተራክሽን ወይም ሪአክሽን የምናደርግበት መንገድ ሰም ቶታሉ ወይም አጠቃላይ ሁኔታ ፐርሰናሊቲ ተብሎ ይጠራል። ፐርሰናሊቲን ሜዠር የምናደርገው በፐርሰናሊቲ ትሬት ነው። እነዚህ ትሬቶች ቁጣ ሊሆን ይችላል፣ ሐዘን ሊሆን ይችላል፣ ዝም ማለት ዝምተኝነት ሊሆን ይችላል። these are traits። እነዚህ የአንድን ሰው personality indicate ያደርጋሉ እና personality if there is no interaction and reaction ምንም አይነት ግንኙነት ባይኖር with others ምን እንደሆነ የኛ personality identify ማድረግ very difficult ነው ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ personality ማንነታችን የሚገለጠው by our interaction and reaction ነው ማለት ነው። personality እንግዲህ measure መደረግ አለበት። as managers ቀደም እንዳልኩት for all our decisions personality ትልቅ dominant determinant ነው በጣም ወሳኝ ነው ይሄንን ለማድረግ ሁለት መንገዶች አሉ the first is self reporting survey ይባላል by the person itself ማለት ነው ግለሰቡ he coded all the data day to day by himself እና በየቀኑ እነዚህን ትሬቶቻችንን from morning to night ከጠዋት ጀምረን እንመዘግባለንና በዛ መሰረት በብዛት በህይወታችን የሚታዩ አይነት ትሬቶች የማንነታችን ወይም የፐርሰናሊቲያችን መገለጫ ሊሆኑ ይችላሉ second way ደግሞ observer rating survey የምንለው by other person not by ourselves እኛ ሳንሆን ሌላ other person he rate our personality traits and he observe all our personality traits and he rate by his survey that is mentioning the personality of the person these are two ways of measuring personality there are personality determinants what are personality determinants this issue became very researched issue by many researchers up to now for individuals personality what is the determinant one person differs from the other by its personality አሁን ስናይ አንዳንድ ሰው ሌላ አይነት personality ያለው ማንነት እናያለን በእነዚህ ትሬቶች የሚገለጥ ሌላው ሰው ሌላ አይነት personality for this what are determinants is the very essential and the key question for many scholars the first personality determinant became heredity from factors those determining the personality of individuals one and very essential determinant is heredity heredity determines person's personality this heredity approach argues that genes are the source of personality from our gene from our parents we receive genes and these genes are source of personality and individuals gain their personality from their heredity from ancestors from their father from their mother is one way about these determinants but very similar personalities we get in twins sometimes as you know so when we see twins we get similar personalities both in the twins this indicates as the source or determinant of personality is heredity but there is some personality change over long period when we see twins we see some changes by their personality this indicates that there is other determinant rather than heredity for personality እንግዲህ የመጀመሪያው በዘር ሐረጋችን ከወላጆቻችን ኢንሄሪት የምናደርገው ይሄ የዘር ጂን የማንነታችን ሊወስን ይችላል አንዱ ይሄ ነው ቁጡ ከሆነ አባት ወይም ቁጡ ከሆኑ እናት የተወለደ ልጅ ቁጡ ሊሆን ይችላል he receives this personality from his heredity ማለት ነው ከወላጆቹ ነው ማለት ነው ይሄን የወሰደው ስለዚህ አንደኛው personality determinant heredity ነው the other personality trait became environment is another determinant for individual's personality with that of heredity next to heredity environment became the second determinant factor for individual's personality determination if we take two twins due to their heredity these twins became similar personality but when we take these two twins and develop them or grow them in two different places their personality became varied this is due to the environment due to the factor of environment. This mentioning that the second personality determinant is environment. The other issue next to this determinants became personality traits. The more consistent the characteristics and the more frequent it occurs in diverse situations, the more important the trait. These traits indicate the personality of that individual. Mean we have to see that character constantly or frequently in that person. እንግዲህ አንድ ቀን በሆነ ባህሪ ወይም በተገለጠ ትሬት የዚህ ሰውዬ ፐርሰናሊቲ ይሄ ነው ብለን ጀጅ ማድረግ it is difficult ትክክል አይደለም ለምሳሌ አንድ ሰው ሲቆጣ አንድ ቀን ብናየው ይሄ ሰውዬ ፐርሰናሊቲው እንደዚህ ነው ብለን ዲው ቱ የመቆጣት ትሬት ስላየን የዚህን ሰው ባህሪ በዛ መንገድ ዲፋይን ብናደርግ that's wrong. That trait must be consistent and frequently occur. ተመላልሶ ያ ባህሪ ወይም ያ የምናየው ትሬት ተደጋግሞ ኮንስታንትሊ መታየት ሲችል ነው ያ ትሬት የፐርሰናሊቲ መገለጫ ሆኖ ጀጅ ልናደርግ የምንችለው we have two dominant frameworks used to describe personality. For description of personality, we have two dominant frameworks by this course OB. From these two dominant frameworks, which is describing personality of individuals, the first one is Myers-Briggs type indicator, which is called MBTI, and the second is Big Five model. እነዚህ ሁለቱ ፐርሰናሊቲን ዲተርማይን ለማድረግ ቅድም እንዳልኩት አንድ ትሬት ተደጋግሞ ኮንሲስተንትሊ ኦር ፍሪኩዌንትሊ መምጣት ካልቻለ ያ ትሬት ፐርሰናሊቲ ያንድን ሰው ፐርሰናሊቲ ሊያሳይ ወይም ሊገልጽ አይችልም ስለዚህ ጥናቶች ያስቀመጡት we have dominant framework which is describing personality of individual. The first one is Myers-Briggs type of indicator, which we call it MBTI, and the second is Big Five model. Nazi personality mention ለማድረግ ወይም describe ለማድረግ scientifically የተቀመጡ ሁለት የጥናት ውጤቶች ናቸው። ስለዚህ by depending upon these two, we determine or describe the personality of individuals. When we start from the Myers-Briggs, ከዚህ ከመጀመሪያው ስንጀምር this instrument globally highly used way of the most widely used instrument in the world, the Myers-Briggs type indicator. Participants are classified on 4 axes to determine one of the 16 possible personality types. According to the Myers-Briggs type of indicator, we have 16 type of personalities. For determining these 16 type of personalities, we subdivide or classify those personality of individuals into 4. First, by this division, as you see from the diagram, the first one mentions that sociable and assertive, which is extrovert type of personality. In the opposite side, we see introverted type of personality, which is quiet and shy type of person. We divide firstly by these two. Some individuals, their personality became extroverts. The other individuals became introverts. Introverts are individuals which are quiet and shy. Extroverts are individuals which are sociable and assertive. ስለዚህ በአራት ዋና ምድብ እንከፋፍልና ከነዚህ አራት ክፍልፋዮች ወይም ክላሲፊኬሽንስ 16 አይነት ፐርሰናሊቲ ማግኘት እንደሚቻል ነው ይሄ Myers-Briggs type of indicator የሚያወራው። ስለዚህ የመጀመሪያው በጣም ሶሻብል የሆኑ መግባባት የሚችሉ assertive የሆኑ individuals አሉ ይላል that individuals called extroverted ይባላሉ. Introverts which are quiet and shy የማፈርና ዝምተኛ የሆነ ባህሪ ያላቸው ማለት ነው we subdivide by these two secondly sensing and intuitive በእነዚህ በሁለቱ ሁለተኛ ላይ እንከፍላለን when we say sensing it mentions practical and orderly individuals which are by their behavior which are practical and orderly individuals intuitive means unconscious processor individuals when they process anything individuals which are unconscious individuals which are not conscious called intuitive the second subdivision or classification is this thirdly thinking and feeling thinking means use reason and logic individuals which use reasons which use logic ምክንያታዊ የሆኑ ሰዎች ማለት ነው feeling uses values and emotions they depend on their emotions their values called feeling the other judging and perceiving judging individuals are individuals which want order and structure this type of individuals need structure and order ትዕዛዝ structure የሚፈልጉ አሰራር ላይ ፎከስ የሚያደርጉ which are judging ይባላሉ እነዚህ መሰረታዊ አሰራርን ተከትለው structureን ተከትለው ትዕዛዝ orderን ተከትለው የሚሄዱ አይነት ሰዎች ናቸው perceiving which are flexible and spontaneous type of individuals perceiving individuals receive issues easily without order in the structure we call them individuals which are flexible perceiving by classifying in these two forms as we see from the next slide we subdivide characteristics or personality of individuals into 16 each of these 16 possible combination has a name for instance INTJ these individuals called individuals who are visionaries from the first the subdivisions they take I which are introverts from the second subdivisions they take N from the third they take T and from the fourth they take J which is judging this type of personality which we call it INTJ individuals this type of personality are visionaries original which are driven individuals visionaries INTJ indicating personality which is visionary the second ESTJ mentioning organizers individuals who are realistic logical analytical organizers ESTJ the third type is ENTP individuals called conceptualizers which are innovative individuals entrepreneurial ability individuals having entrepreneurial ability which are individualistic which are resourceful this type of individuals which are innovative entrepreneurial ability called conceptualizers ENTJ by adding these four classifications from one the first classification we select one from the second one from the third one we categorize into 16 possible personalities this became according to the Myers and Briggs classification the second type of determination or the second indicator scientifically indicator of personality dimension became the big five model here by this model we have 5 big traits extroversion agreeableness consciousness emotional stability openness to experience these 5 personalities indicating or traits indicating the personality dimension of individuals according to scholars and we subdivide these traits or personalities into these 5 big personality classifications the next issue how we predict depending upon these big 5 traits if sometimes we see one type of personality type from these 5, how we judge or predict the behavior or personality of individuals became very essential issue. As example, from these 5, we get individuals which are highly consciousness. Consciousness is one trait from this big 5. Highly consciousness people develop more job knowledge. In job place, as manager of organization, when we see individuals from these big 5 traits having consciousness, this type of individuals indicate as these peoples are more job knowledge, as they exert greater effort for the company or the firm, have better performance rather than others when we see consciousness type of traits in individuals. እንግዲህ እነዚህ በጥናት የተረጋገጡ ሁለት ፐርሰናሊቲን ኢንዲኬት ለማድረግ የተቀመጡ ትሬቶች ላይ ዲፔንድ ሆነው የሰዎችን ፐርሰናሊቲ ለመግለጽ ይሄ ነው ለማለት የተቀመጡ ናቸው። ቅድም እንዳልኩ ብሪግስ እና ማየር አንደኛው ነው፣ ሁለተኛው ቢግ 5 ሞዴል የሚባለው ነው። ስለዚህ ቅድም እንዳልኩት በአራት ዋና ዋና ክፍል ተከፍሎ ከአራቱ በመነሳት 16 አይነት ፐርሰናሊቲ የሰዎችን የፐርሰናሊቲ አይነት የሚገልጽ ነው ወይም ኢንዲኬት የሚያደርግ ነው ማየርስ እና ብሪግስ። ቢግ 5 ሞዴል ደግሞ 5 ዋና ዋና የሚባሉ ትሬቶችን ያስቀምጥና እነዚህ ትሬቶች ላይ ቆመን እንደ አንድ ተቋም ማናጀር የሰዎችን ባህሪ ወይም በፐርሰናሊቲ እንዴት አርገን ፕሪዲክት እናርግ የሚል ሐሳብ የሚሰጥ ነው፣ ኢንዲኬሽን ያለው ነው። እነዚህ ትሬትስ ኢንዲኬተርስ ናቸው። we predict behavior of individuals እነዚህ ላይ ቆመን ለምሳሌ ኮንሺየስነስ ምንለው አይነት ከቢግ 5 ትሬቶቹ መካከል ኮንሺየስነስ የሚባለው አይነት ኮንሺየስ የሆነ ሰው ካየን that person trait ምንድነው ያ ትሬት የሚያሳየን ማለት ነው? ይህ ሰውዬ ሞር ጆብ ኖሌጅ አለው። he exert greater effort ለስራው ስኬትና ውጤታማነት እዛ ፊርም ውስጥ as a manager ምን ጀጅ እናረጋለን ማለት ነው? he exerts greater effort እና better performance ያለው ሰው መሆኑን ያረጋግጣል። Similarly, these 5 traits አሁን ቢግ 5 ውስጥ የምናያቸው አምስቱም የራሳቸው ኢንዲኬሽን አላቸው የሚል ሐሳብ ነው ያለው። ለምሳሌ agreeableness የምንለው አይነት ትሬት ያለው ሰው ቢኖር ይሄኛው ምን ያሳያል? good in social setting እንዲህ አይነት ሰዎች ሶሻል ሴቲንግ ላይ በጣም ጥሩ መሆናቸውን እናረጋግጣለን። ከፐርሰናሊቲ አንፃር እንደዛ ኢንዲኬት ያደርጋል፣ እንደዛ ፕሪዲክት ያደርጋል ማለት ነው። The other we have personality traits relevant to organizational behavior. The first one is called core self-evaluation, the degree to which people like to dislike themselves. እንግዲህ core self-evaluation is the first personality trait to know positively or negatively about performance of individuals. The degree to which people like or dislike themselves እንግዲህ ራስን መውደድ ለየትኛውም ፐርሰናሊቲ ወሳኝ ነው። ስለዚህ አንድ ሰው he like or dislike ራስን dislike እና like የማድረግ ነገር አንደኛው core self evaluation ነው for personality in determining of individuals ማለት. Positive self evaluation leads to higher job performance. እንግዲህ if individuals have positive self evaluation, they judge themselves positively, their job performance became higher. Individuals having negative self evaluation similarly have lower job performance. This is very clear. If individuals like themselves well, or the image about themselves is good, positive, their performance became greater. Similarly, if their perception towards themselves is bad, their job performance became lower. These issues, the positive self-evaluation of a person to himself and like or dislike of himself called core self-evaluation. This is the first trait which is indicating the individual's performance in a job in OB. The other issue from these different relevant personality traits, for example, when we take risk-taking, the willingness to take chances, risk-taking ability is very important. This type of individuals, when we see an individual's trait which is risk-taking, risk-taker make faster decisions with less information. We understood this in OB. When we see individuals which takes risk, greater risk, which are risk-takers, this type of individuals decide decisions faster than individuals who are not risk takers. When they decide decisions faster, they with less information. Risk taker behavior or trait indicating as individuals are fast decision makers. By this condition, traits in OB related with personalities. The other issue is about type A personality. Type A personality indicates individuals which are aggressive in their behavior, in their personality, which are chronic and struggle with others, highly called type A personality, which are aggressive, which are impatient, always moving, walking, and eating rapidly. We see this type of individuals. This personality called type A personality. When we see in individuals this type of personality, this personality called type A personality. In some individuals, we get this type of personalities. አንዳንድ ሰዎች ላይ እንደዚህ አይነት ባህሪ ታያላችሁ። በጣም ቁጡነት፣ impatient መሆን፣ ነገሮችን አለመታገስ, even when they eat rapidly. When you see this type of behavior in individuals, this personality is called type A personality. The opposite of type A personality is type B personality. Completely opposite of this ማለት ነው። ከዚህ የተቃረነ ማለት ነው። እንደዚህ አይነት ቁጡ ያልሆኑ በጣም ኳይት የሆኑ ፔሸንት ያላቸው ትግስታቸው ከፍ ያለ በጣም የተረጋጉ እንደዚህ አይነት ሰዎች ደግሞ በሌላ ሳይድ እናያለን። እነዚህን ታይፕ ቢ ፐርሰናሊቲ እንላለን። እነዚህ ሁለት አይነት behaviors which are personalities type A and type B personalities differ and opposite. These two personalities are opposite, and we get this type of personality in work environment as a manager. እንግዲህ እንደ አንድ የተቋም ማናጀር ስለሆነ ኦቢን እየተማርን ያለነው እንደዚህ አይነት ሁለት አይነት ታይፕ A እና ታይፕ B personalities እናገኛለን። what is the implication ሲባል ደግሞ ምንድነው implication? ቅድም ለምሳሌ consciousness trait ካየን ይሄ ሰውዬ ፐርፎርማንሱ ግሬተር ነው ማለት ነው ብለን ጀጅ እንደምናደርግ ሁሉ personality trait and ማወቅ ወይም about personality መማር in a workplace to manage different personality of individuals. We get diverse peoples, not individuals having similar personality. እንግዲህ አንድ የሥራ ተቋም ውስጥ we are working towards productivity in our organization. ተቋም ውስጥ እንግዲህ ትልቅ ውጤታማ success ለማምጣት የተቀመጥን ሰዎች ነን። ስለዚህ for that success የሰዎችን effort የሰዎችን potential personality ቅድም እንዳልነው vary ያደርጋል in this globe, in this world. Globally personality of individuals became differ ይለያያል። የሰው personality በምን ምክንያት የሚለውን ቅድም አይተናል። የመጣንበት አንሴስተሮቻችን የዘር ሐረጋችን different ነው። ጂን inheritance አለን። ሁለተኛ ያደግንበት environment በራሱ ሌላ determinant factor ነው። በእነዚህ ምክንያት አንድ የሥራ ቦታ ላይ የምናገኘው employee ያለው personality different ነው። ስለዚህ as a manager, how we handle these individuals and how we bring productivity by cooperate these individuals together, and how we bring success የሚለውን ማወቅ እንዲቻል ነው ኦቢ የምንማረው። ስለዚህ behavior of individual, how we handle, how we manage የሚለውን ለማወቅ to know about personality is very essential. Proactive personality is the other issue. Read it. Attributes of values. There are attributes in values. Intensity attribute, content attribute. You have to know these two by reading. Content attribute is mode of conduct or in the state is important. In intensity attribute, just how important that content is. These are two attributes of values. Value system, a person's value rank orderly by intensity. Intensity or consistency measuring the value system of a person. Importance of values. Importances by knowing values we get from hobby learning is provide understanding of the attitude, motivation, and the behavior of individuals. It influences our perception of the world around us. Our values influencing our perception towards the world around us, which represent interpretation of right and wrong. Our interpretation towards right, this is to say this is right, to say this is wrong. Our interpretation of this world depends on our values. Values indicating the framing, societal framing. As individual, from our birth till to now, we are in society. That society frames our mind to believe as this is true, right, this is wrong. This framing occurs due to why we are in society. Our interpretation varies from person to person. That interpretation indicates our value. For somebody, things which are right became for somebody wrong due to our value variation or differences. Implies that some behaviors or outcomes are preferred over others. One preferred from the other. We have classification of values, terminal value and instrumental value. Terminal values are those in the states of existence, goals of a person. When we live in this world, in our lifetime, those in the states which are essential for our existence and we strive for them is called terminal values. We value them for our existence for it throughout the lifetime, terminal values. Instrumental values, those modes of behaviors which means for achieving our terminal values. When I mention these two types of values in example, for example, from things that are very essential in our lifetime, we see comfortable life is example for terminal value. For everyone in this world, comfortable life became important or in the state for everyone, for existence of individuals. Terminal value indicates comfortable life. ሰው ሁሉ እንደዚህ አይነት ህይወት የመኖር ፍላጎት አለው። ይሄ እንግዲህ ዋና ተርሚናል የሆነ ቫልዩአችን ነው። ቫልዩ ምንላቸው for in the state የሆኑ ኤግዚስተንሳችን ውስጥ throughout our life እንዲሆኑ በዋናነት የምንፈልጋቸው values terminal value ይባላሉ። አሁን እንዳልኩት በቃ every person comfortable life መኖር በህይወቱ ጥሩ ቤት ውስጥ መኖር ጥሩ አይነት መኪና መንዳት እንደዚህ comfortable ሆነ የተመቻቸ አይነት ህይወት መኖር which is terminal value. Instrumental values for terminal values means የምንላቸው ናቸው. For example, hard working, honest መሆን, hard working, these are instrumental values for individuals. ለዚህኛው ኢንስትሩመንት የሆኑ ማለት ነው. Instrumental values. Due to this, we subdivide into these types of values, terminal and instrumental. The other very essential issue when we come to OB is linking personality and the values to workplace. ቅድም ማውራት እንደጀመርኩት managers are less interested in someone's ability to do a specific job than in the person's flexibility. This is reality. As a manager, we have to link personality and value concepts with workplace. ትልቁ ፎከሳችን ወይም ትኩረታችን እነዚህን ጉዳዮች ማወቃችን ኢምፖርታንሱ ምንድነው? ከወርክ ፕሌስ ጋራ ከስራ ቦታ ጋራ ወይም እዛው ውስጥ ከመናገኛቸው ኤምፕሎይስ ጋር አስ ማናጀር እነዚህን ጉዳዮች ማስተሳሰር ወይም ሊንክ ማድረግ ነው። ፐርሰን ጆብ ፊት ስለዚህ ፐርሰናሊቲን ከጆብ ጋራ ማስተሳሰር መቻል በጣም ኢምፖርታንት ነገር ነው። ቅድም እንዳልኩኝ someone's personality በቀጥታ የሚገናኘው ስራ ቦታ ላይ ከዛ ከሚሰራው ስራ ጋርና ከዛ ስራ ፕሮዳክቲቪቲ እና ሰክሰስ ጋር ስለዚህ we have to guess, we have to know, we have to judge individuals personality with that of the job. These two things must be fit. The personality of if the personality of the person is not fit with the job, it affects the motivation of the person, it affects the job satisfaction of the person. That person became not satisfied by the job, and it affects productivity. These things are highly interrelated. Personality interrelated with productivity, with motivation, with job satisfaction. Due to this case, personality shaping became one of the greatest responsibility for managers to become effective, to handle personality of individuals. Due to this reason, personality with job must be fit. And we have model which is indicating this personality job fit. And there are key points of this model that you see from the slide. It relates these personality characteristics with simple occupations. Here we get occupations, a list, and personality characteristics. According to scientific investigations, for example, individuals which are shy, genuine, persistent, stable, conforming, practical, type of occupation like mechanic, operator, worker, farmer, assembly line worker, farmer, individuals having this type of personality character selected for this type of occupations. እንደዚህ አይነት ባህሪ ያለው ሰው እነዚህን ሙያዎች ሳምፕል የሆኑ occupational lines ቢዝ he became effective እና ለእንደዚህ አይነት ሙያዎች እንደዚህ አይነት personality characters more fit ያደርጋሉ ተብሎ ይታሰባል። analytical የሆኑ ሰዎች which are experimental በባህሪያቸው which needs original, curious, independent እንደዚህ አይነት ባህሪ ያላቸው ሰዎች ደግሞ biologist, economist, mathematician, news reporter ቢሆኑ by their occupation it is selective. These personalities highly related with these occupations. ስለዚህ when we select for certain occupation individuals, we have to focus on their personality characters like this. For example, conforming, efficient, practical, inflexible. These characteristics highly selected for accountants, managers, file clerks. For this type of occupations, these personality characters are more preferable. ስለዚህ ለየትኛው ሙያ ሰዎችን select እንደምናደርገው ቀን due to our knowledge of OB እነዚህን characteristics እዛ ትሬቶቹን መፈለግ እዛ ሰው ውስጥ በጣም ኢምፖርታንት ነው የሚል ሐሳብ ነው ያለው። ስለዚህ አካውንቲንግ ሰዎች እንደዚህ አይነት ባህሪ ይጠበቅባቸዋል ማለት ነው። Relationships among personality types, one personality related with the other. Soon ነው እዚህ ውስጥ የምናየው by the issue which is mentioning person-organization fit. The employee's personality must fit with the organizational culture. Employee's personality always fit with the organization's culture. Organizational culture mentioning the belief, the attitude of individuals, the framing of individuals in that workplace or work environment called organizational culture. Organizational culture differs from organization to organization. In some organization, in one organization we get different culture, and in another organization we get another culture. These cultures of organization must fit with the personality of employees. If employees' personality is not fit with the organization's culture, ለምሳሌ የተቋሙ ካልቸር ፓንክቹዋል የሆነ ካልቸር ቢኖረው እያንዳንዱ ሰው ከጠዋቱ 2 ሰዓት ስራ ቦታ የሚገኝ አይነት ቢሆን የሰው ሁሉ ቢሊፍ 5 ደቂቃ ማርፈድ ትክክል አይደለም ብሎ የሚያስብ ቢሆንና ቬሪ ፓንክቹዋል የሆነ ካልቸር ቢኖራቸው በዚህ ሰውዬ ፐርሰናሊቲ ውስጥ ደግሞ በጠዋት መነሳት በጣም ኮንሺየስ የመሆን አይነት ፐርሰናሊቲ ባይኖር ይሄ ሰውዬ this employee's personality is not fit with the organization culture. This brings different results or problems in the life of that employee in that workplace. እዛ ቦታ ላይ በዚህ ሰውዬ አንፃር የሚፈጠሩ ዲስኮምፎርቶች ይኖራሉ ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ኦርጋናይዜሽኑ ይሄን ሰውዬ ለዛ የስራ ቦታ አይፈልገውም። ይሄም ሰው ደግሞ እዛ የስራ ቦታ ላይ the person is not motivated by his job as employee of the organization. His productivity became less. Due to this case, we have to match individual's personality with organizational culture. Managers are mentors of individuals, which fits this too by analyzing, by knowing the concept of personality well. To fit with the person's personality with the organization's culture, the most responsible person in the organization became the manager of the organization. The manager became consultant for this person, mentor for this person, who guides, who advises the person and brings to fit that person with the culture of the organization. As a manager, to know about personality is very essential for sustaining our workplace, work environment as a manager. These all issues mentioning, there are global implications towards personality and values. Regarding personality, do frameworks like Big Five transfer across cultures? Yes, but the frequency of type in the culture may vary, better in individualistic than collectivist culture. Here we get, when we make frameworks like Big Five transfer across culture, one is better in individualistic than collectivist cultures. We have to do better than individualistic than collectivist cultures. Some cultures are collectivist and the other are individualistic, and we have to better form this one rather than collectivities. Values differ across culture, as you know. Regarding this, as a manager, by depending upon these global implications towards personality and the values, we have to depend and treat these issues. The existence to which a society accepts that power in institutions and organizations distributed unequally, low distance, high distance. Here we get these two. Low distance, relatively equal power between those with status, wealth, and those with status and wealth. Here we get low distance mean having relative equal power between those with status. High distance, extremely unequal power distribution mentioning. Here we get these two, the low distance and high distance. This is mentioning the existence to which society accepts that power in institutions and organizations. When in organizations this power distributed unequally, we call it high distance, and when power is distributed between people relatively in equal status in the condition, without consideration of different things, we call it low distance. We get these two extents in society. Here we get two issues that I mentioned before: individualism and collectivism. Individualism is the degree to which people prefer to act as individuals rather than as member of groups. When individuals are not act as member of group, and if they have right to act as individual, we call it individualism. When the degree to which people prefer to act as an individual rather than as a member of group, that is called individualism. እንደ ግለሰብ እንደ አንድ የግሩፕ ሜምበር ሳይሆን the degree to which people prefers individual በግላቸው ግለኝነት የምንለው አይነት thinking ሰዎች ሲኖራቸው when the degree is greater in individual thinking rather than member of a group, we call it individualism. In collectivism, a tight social framework, we get this type of culture in organizations. Individuals became socially very intimate, tight relationship socially, and individuals select this type of tightness in social framework than preferring individual preference. We call it collectivism. These are two ways in social framing. Miscellaneity, femininity, these are others. For example, when we see femininity, the extent to which there is little differentiation between roles for men and women. For example, if there is no differentiation between these two sexes, the male or the female sex, between men and women, we call it femininity. የኛው ሌላ እዚህ ውስጥ የምናየው ነገር ነው። Hofstede framework ይባላል ይሄ። ስለዚህ femininity እናያለን። አንዳንድ ጊዜ ሶሳይቲ ውስጥ ምንም አይነት በሴትና በወንድ መካከል ዲፈረንሺዬሽን በሌለበት ሁኔታ ኤክስቴንቱ ሌስ ሲሆን የሮል ዲፈረንስ በሁለቱ መካከል በጣም የጠበበ ሲሆን ማለት ነው። Here the extent to which society feels threatened by uncertain and ambiguous situations and tries to avoid them. High uncertainty avoidance, low uncertainty avoidance, we subdivide by these two, depending upon the extent to which society feels threatened. ያ ማህበረሰብ እንደዛ ፊል በሚያደርግበት ሁኔታ ላይ ተመስርተን we subdivide in high uncertainty avoidance. Society does not like ambiguous situations and tries to avoid them. Always in every society we get this type of behavior which is called high uncertainty avoidance. ያልተገመተ ያልተጠበቀ which is ambiguous, which is uncertain የሆነ ነገር ሁሉ ጊዜ ማጥፋት avoid ማድረግ ከግምታችን ወይም ከጥበቃችን ውጪ which is unexpected የሆነ ጉዳይ ከፊት እንዳይገጥመን የመፈለግ አይነት አስማሚያ ወይም thinking, we call it high uncertainty avoidance ይባላል. Low uncertainty avoidance is the opposite. Society does not mind ambiguous situation and embraces them. When society undermine this one, not mind it, and embraces them, we call it low uncertainty avoidance. Long-term orientation and the short-term orientation, these are others depending on the time of orientation. If the time of orientation is too long, we call it long-term. When the time is very short, we call it short-term orientation. Mm, According to this framework assessment, generally when we see there are regional differences within countries. Within countries, there is regional difference. Regionally, ልዩነት አለ within a country. አንድ ሀገር ውስጥ when you go to different areas or regions, for example, in our country, Ethiopia, you get many differences. The original data is old and based on only one company. And the original data is old and based on only one company. Had to make money judgment calls while doing the research. Some results do not match what is believed to be true about given countries. Research they varies than the belief which is true by the society or the country. Despite these problems, it remains a very popular framework, which is the framework which is called Hofstede framework remains a very popular framework in many countries. Lastly, we see global leadership and organizational behavior effectiveness, additional dimensions of national culture. This one is additional dimension with that of other frameworks that we see before, which is global leadership and organizational behavior effectiveness. Similar to this framework with these additional dimensions, how much society reward people for being generous and kind, performance orientation, how much society encourage and reward performance improvement and excellence. Performance orientation indicates how much society encourages and rewards performance improvement and excellence. Lastly, personality screen for the big 5 traits of consciousness take into account the situational factors as well. We have to take to account, screen the big 5 traits. First, secondly, you have to take to account the situational factors. These situational factors we have to take to account. And the other issue, it is very important for training and development. In programs of HR called training and development, these two issues are very essential when we need to train our employees in organization for developmental issues. Depending on these personality issues, to take action is very essential. Values often explain attitude, behaviors, and the perception of individuals. When we say values, it indicates the attitude, the thinking of individual, the behavior, perceptions towards in things is called values. Higher performance and satisfaction achieved when the individual's values match those of the organization. This one is organizational culture fit with the values in the personality fit. That person became higher in its performance and job satisfaction due to why that individual's value matches with the organizational culture. This is the end for this chapter.